Welcome back to our channel where we dive into the wildest scenarios of alternative history. Today we're taking a trip back to the 19th century to explore a world where one of America's greatest engineering feats was never completed. What if the Transcontinental Railroad was never built? First, let's set the stage. The Transcontinental Railroad was a massive project that connected the eastern and western United States with a continuous rail line, completed in 1869. It was built by two companies, the Union Pacific and the Central Pacific, meeting at Promontory Summit in Utah. This monumental achievement transformed travel, commerce, and the very fabric of American society. Before the railroad, traveling from coast to coast could take months and was fraught with danger. With the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad, that journey was reduced to just a week. Goods, people, and information could flow across the country like never before, fueling the economy and driving westward expansion. But what if this marvel of engineering and progress never happened? Let's jump into our hypothetical time machine and find out. First up, let's consider the economic impact. The Transcontinental Railroad was a catalyst for economic growth. It allowed raw materials like coal, timber, and minerals to be transported efficiently across vast distances, feeding the industrial boom of the late 19th century. Without the railroad, the American economy would have developed at a much slower pace. The lack of efficient transportation means industries wouldn't have access to the resources they needed. This could have led to slower industrial growth and delayed the United States' emergence as an economic powerhouse. Imagine a world where goods take weeks or even months to reach their destinations. The costs of transportation would skyrocket, making goods more expensive and limiting the variety of products available to consumers. The economic divide between the East and West could have been much more pronounced, with the Western territories remaining underdeveloped for much longer. This economic sluggishness would have provided an opportunity for other countries to capitalize on America's delayed growth. For instance, Britain, with its advanced railway network and industrial base, could have strengthened its economic dominance. British goods and technology might have filled the void left by America's slower development, solidifying the British Empire's global influence for a longer period. And before we dive deeper, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel if you enjoy exploring these fascinating what-if scenarios with us. Next, let's think about the social and demographic impact. The Transcontinental Railroad facilitated the Great Migration westward. Settlers, immigrants, and entrepreneurs flocked to the west, spurred on by the promise of land and opportunity. Without the railroad, this westward expansion would have been significantly hindered. The population of the western United States would have grown at a snail's pace. Cities like San Francisco, Denver, and Salt Lake City might never have become the bustling metropolises they are today. The lack of a rapid and reliable transportation network would have also meant fewer opportunities for immigrants and poor Easterners seeking a new life in the West. The cultural melting pot that defined the American frontier would have been much less diverse. This stagnation in the West could have benefited countries like Canada, which was also promoting Western settlement through its own Transcontinental Railroad, completed in 1885. Without the American competition, Canada might have attracted more immigrants and investments, accelerating its development and potentially leading to a stronger, more unified nation earlier in its history. Let's not forget the political and strategic impact. The completion of the Transcontinental Railroad had significant implications for national security and unity. It tied the vast American territories together, making it easier for the federal government to maintain control and for the military to move quickly in times of crisis. In our alternate timeline, without the railroad, the United States might have struggled to maintain a cohesive national identity. The vast distances and difficult travel conditions could have led to greater regionalism and even the possibility of secessionist movements gaining traction in the isolated Western territories. During conflicts like the Indian Wars, the lack of rapid transportation would have made it much harder for the government to deploy troops and supplies, potentially altering the outcomes of these conflicts. The West might have remained a more lawless and contested region for much longer. Furthermore, this weakened American unity could have presented strategic opportunities for European powers, such as Russia or Spain, to exert greater influence in North America. Russia, with its own transcontinental ambitions through the Trans-Siberian Railway, might have looked to expand its presence in Alaska and the Pacific Northwest, while Spain could have sought to reclaim lost territories or strengthen its hold on existing ones. Finally, let's talk about technological and infrastructural impacts. The construction of the Transcontinental Railroad was a monumental engineering feat that pushed the boundaries of what was possible at the time. It spurred innovations in engineering, transportation, and logistics. Without the railroad, these technological advancements might have been delayed or developed in different ways. The experience and knowledge gained from building the railroad were applied to other projects and industries, driving further innovation and progress. The lack of a transcontinental rail network could have also impacted the development of other infrastructure. Roads, bridges, and telegraph lines often followed the path of the railroads, creating a network of connectivity that spanned the continent. Without this backbone, America's infrastructure would have developed more slowly and haphazardly. Technological stagnation in the U.S. might have allowed European nations like Germany, with its rapidly advancing industrial capabilities, to further its lead in technology and engineering. German influence in global technological advancements could have been even more pronounced, potentially shifting the balance of innovation towards Europe. Now, let's delve into the cultural impact. The Transcontinental Railroad didn't just connect places. It connected people and ideas. It played a significant role in shaping American culture and identity. The movement of people across the country facilitated the exchange of cultures, ideas, and traditions. It helped create a more unified national identity and spread cultural trends from coast to coast. Without this cultural diffusion, regional identities might have remained more distinct and isolated. The stories and legends of the Old West, the rise of cowboy culture, and the blending of different traditions might have taken a very different form. American literature, music, and art would have evolved in unique ways, reflecting a more fragmented national experience. This isolation could have created a cultural vacuum that countries like France, known for its influential art and culture, might have filled. French cultural influence in literature, fashion, and the arts could have become even more dominant in the absence of a strong, unified American cultural presence. Lastly, let's consider the global impact. The Transcontinental Railroad positioned the United States as a major player on the world stage, facilitating trade and commerce with other nations. Without the railroad, the United States might have been slower to enter the global market as a dominant force. The export of American goods and the import of foreign products would have been more challenging, limiting the country's economic and cultural influence worldwide. This could have had a ripple effect on global history. The balance of power between nations, the spread of technology, and the flow of ideas might have looked very different in a world where the United States was less connected internally and externally. Countries like Great Britain, France, and Germany could have strengthened their positions as global leaders in trade and industry, capitalizing on America's delayed rise. The geopolitical landscape of the late 19th and early 20th centuries might have been dominated by European powers for a longer period. So, what if the Transcontinental Railroad wasn't built? We've seen how this single project had profound and far-reaching effects on the economy, society, politics, technology, culture, and even global affairs. While it's impossible to predict every detail of this alternate history, one thing is clear. The Transcontinental Railroad was a pivotal moment in shaping the United States as we know it today. Without it, America and the world would be a very different place. Thanks for joining us on this journey through time. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode of What If. Let us know in the comments what alternative history scenario you'd like us to explore next. Until then, stay curious, keep dreaming big,